Inside 100 million p0lice traffic stops, new evidence of racial bias. 3 years ago, an unmarked police car tailed Richard Jackson into an alley behind his home on Chicago's west side and pulled him over. Jackson, but this time was different. After an officer, although the officer did not allude to Jackson's race, the veteran believed that was why he was stopped. He successfully, The Chicago police did not respond to a request for comment. Jackson's encounter with the Chicago police reflects the experiences of people of color across the country, who describe being stopped and searched by officers without a good reason. Like Jackson, now, Stanford University researchers have compiled the most comprehensive evidence to date suggesting there is a pattern of racial disparities in traffic stops. The researchers using information obtained through public record requests, they examined almost 100 million traffic stops conducted from 2011 to 2017 across 21 state patrol agencies, including California, Illinois, New York, and Texas, and 29 municipal police departments, including New Orleans, Philadelphia, San Francisco, and St. Paul, Minneapolis. Police pull over about 20 million drivers across the United States each year, according to researchers. And while the extreme theirs, then the Stanford study sliced the data in 3 distinct ways to search for evidence of racial bias. Stanford's research is based on numbers provided by state and city agencies, but not all police departments track that data or are willing to release it. While the majority of Cheryl Phillips, who launched the Stanford Open Policing Project in 2014, said the patchwork of responses highlights how government agencies don't. Illinois, which requires officers to, has been at the forefront of the practice since it began doing so in 2004. Rachel Murphy, not. In response to a by the ACLU of Illinois that found racial disparities in police stops, Chicago police said the numbers failed to note the high volume of crime and calls for service made in the predominantly minority neighborhoods where police also conducted the most stops. James Pascoe, executive director of the Fraternal Order of Police, the largest police organization in the country, said police officers are trained to stop drivers based on behaviors and not what a person looks like. Often, when a driver in St. Paul, which Lenders said the department has used its numbers, which include breakdowns by race and location, to make. Among the department's latest initiatives, officers' traffic stop data is shared with them so they can better understand the drivers they're pulling over and why. All employees are. Lenders said that the department has yet to see any measurable decrease in stops that appear to be based on bias, but stressed that officers are doing. Goel, the co-author of the Stanford study, said he hopes law enforcement agencies will look at their own numbers and recognize racial disparities as well as potential remedies. One option is to. Jackson, who joined the military at 18 and is now an immigration officer, said he hasn't been pulled over since the last time in 2016 near his home. The complaint he has no regrets about speaking up to the officer who stopped him.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park.